such a beautiful Science of Mind song, right? Because we plant seeds, seeds of joy, seeds of prosperity, seeds of health, seeds of happiness. And it's not a lighthearted message because joy is not the go-to for most people. I know it's hard to imagine when you walk in this place and we're joyful when we have back pain. We're joyful when we have surgery. We're joyful when it rains. We're joyful for no reason whatsoever. And if you walk down the street and have regular conversations, that is not what happens. By the way, Malika, I'm sorry, but you did not give Feel Good Fridays the just it needs. Feel Good Fridays, that's a new activity for us, and this fourth Friday with Aubrey and our salsa Latin dance instruction is about feeling good. So I just implore you to come out for Feel Good Friday, because next month we have a kirtan, and the following month we're doing karaoke. Yeah, anyway, I digress. So this month, we're exploring joy as a way of being, not joy as a result of a circumstance. Why is somebody waving at me? Why are you waving at me? Yes. Do you want to come in? Good. Welcome. So in Roger Teal's book, and Roger Teal is was the minister at the Mile High Church in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, for years and years and years. I do think he's retired now. And this book is incredibly good. And he really is talking about how to cultivate joy. Now, Dawn's going to cover the 7 pillars of truth, which really are the most important thing, because without a belief in a power greater than you are, without a belief that you're supported and maintained, without a positive attitude, then it actually becomes very hard to find joy independent of circumstances. Because when we're really looking for something outside to make us happy, or something outside to trigger us into a happy place. I wanted to cover the portals of transformation because his most deepest message for me is that we, at all costs, want to avoid pain and fear. That we don't like pain, we don't like fear, we don't like these feelings, we don't like when things go wrong, but his message is we use these things as portals into growth. We use these things as portals into self-awareness. Now, there are 9 of them, and I have, at this moment, about 16 minutes. So obviously we can't cover all of them. So I picked the 2 which I like the most because I'm in charge of myself. Because we have the portals of fear, which is the first one, and we're definitely going to do that one. And the last one is the portal of risk. So the first is this fear is your friend, and the last one is this risk is greatness. In the middle, he has this problem is possibility, this judgment is yearning, this conflict is forgiveness, this disease is discovery, also a very good one. Anyone who's experienced a health problem or a diagnosis or a declaration, disease is also a very wonderful opportunity into self-reflection. Yes, do you know what I'm talking about? Yes. This uncertainty is magic, and this desire is fulfillment. But we're going to deal with fear and risk, and I actually think they're a little bit the same thing. Because risk is something you almost have to transcend fear, get past fear, laugh at fear, mock fear, in order to step out of your comfort zone. And if we do nothing else in life, I am the one who will say to you, get out of your comfort zone. You have one life. Now, someone might argue that you have many. Some might argue that you have simultaneous lives. But for all practical purposes, I know for myself, I was born on August 7th, 1951, and I am now living my dash. And at the other side of that dash will be another date, which will be the date of my disappearance. So I appeared, and I'm going to disappear. Guess what you're going to do? Appear and disappear. And so part of this philosophy, faith, and way of life that we practice is how do we live this dash? How do we live in this space of continued, never-ending, eternal evolution? Mary Morrissey used to ask the question in her prosperity class, are you living on the green growing edge of your own evolution? Or are you hiding out because of fear? Or because of doubt? Now, Roger Teal says there are three primary reasons for our fear. One is your needs may not be met. So we are afraid our needs won't be met. We're afraid that we won't have enough money. We're afraid that we won't have enough love. We're afraid we won't have enough connection. So most people have this to some level. I think before coming into this teaching, we're all a little bit afraid because the TV tells you to be afraid. Every commercial you watch says be afraid because you're just not enough without this medication. You're not enough without this drug. You're not enough without this beer. You're not enough without this relationship. If you don't have millions of dollars in the bank, you're never going to be able to retire. Do you realize that none of that is true? It's not true that if you don't have a college education, you can't make money and have a good job and express your creativity. None of that's true. So until Ernest Holmes used to call it critical thinking, until we think for ourselves, what do I believe and why do I believe this? And is my believing this serving me? So one is my needs won't be met. The other fear is my problems are too big, that I of myself cannot handle them, but without a trust or a surrender into help on high or to help around you, to this idea that we live in a universe that wants, desires, and intends to conspire for your greater good, our problems can feel pretty big, right? Too big to handle sometimes. And the third, he states, is it's better to play small and not risk losing too much than to play big and risk losing everything. There's a wonderful story in his book about a little girl, a 1-year-old. She's with her family, her mother and her father and her grandmother, and she's learning to walk. So she's walking around the house and she's so excited. She's exploring the floor and she's walking and she's just having a good time. They're all watching her. And all of a sudden, she starts crying. And the grandmother walks out to see what the problem was, and there was a mat in front of the front door, like a rug. And the little girl didn't know what it was, so she was afraid to walk on it. It stopped her in her tracks. And she's crying because she's afraid, and she's feeling, I would imagine, restricted, like she's been thwarted in her joyous exploration of the house. And the grandmother goes, "Honey, what's wrong?" And she can't talk yet. She's only walking but not talking. But the grandmother can see that she's afraid of this mat. So she herself steps onto the mat and says, "Come on, honey, the mat is safe. Come, come." And it was her grandmother. So the little girl walked onto the mat with her grandmother and then just giggled with joy. Because she had come across a fear and conquered it. So you might ask, what is the mat that's in front of you that you may be afraid to step on or step out or step over or do something? And though we don't have a grandmother, well, you might have a grandmother who you can go to for counsel. But the deeper idea is that there isn't anything that can happen. There isn't anything so big that you and your connection to spirit cannot get you through. Because in the story, the helping hand for us as we change jobs or get divorced or get married or go get a medical treatment, the source of our strength is our connection to God. Whatever that word means for you, I know that not everybody has that connection yet or trusts that connection yet, but it's my job. I get paid to tell you and to demonstrate to you that there is a power greater than you, that there is good in this universe, and that it is palpable, and it is real, and it is available. And I don't know why it's designed this way, but it appears to be designed this way, that there's a requirement that we must turn to it. Like, we must take one step towards it, and then it can take 1,050 steps towards us. Or we can jump off the cliff, and it will swoop under us. But that trust, knowing that, is necessary to step into our fears. So Ernest Holmes said, when we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy, prosperous, and free. And for some of us, it's not easy to do because the universe hasn't been very nice, or people haven't been very nice. But, there's I think we got something wrong somewhere early. We would say, trust God and love people. Trust people and love God. Trust people and love God. That's backwards. It's trust God and love people. Because let's see, what would you say here? Like, I don't know anybody in my world who exists for my happiness. Or to exist to make sure that I'm safe, or that I'm satisfied, or that I'm fulfilled. Every person, for the most part, is pretty busy in their own lives. So to put your trust in other people as if it were trustworthy like God is silly. What people need from you and I, more than anything, is love. Unconditional, non-judgmental, forgiving kind of love. And then we put all of our trust in something that is eternal and ineffable, and that cannot say no to us. There's no power in this universe that would say, oh no, Malika, you cannot be happy because you did a very bad thing when you were 8 years old. There isn't anything like that. There's nothing but a stream of well-being, nothing but it's almost like Abraham Hicks's book, Ask and It Is Given. You just say what you need. You say what you need. You say what you want. You let your desires come forward. And oftentimes our fear and our doubt won't let us do that. So we kind of go into mediocre. You all know what I'm talking about? Into this plain, safe, except that, for those of you who know me, I'm the wrong person to teach you about safety. Right? I'm the wrong person to teach you about how good it is to play safe and to not go out there on those skinny branches too far. So Roger Teal also says, he says, in order to allow your fear to be a portal into your transformation, you have to face your fear. You have to own your fear. You have to fess up to your fear and recognize that it's simply an invitation to open your heart and to deepen your faith. And he says this way, he says, link up, look up, link up, look up, and leap up. So connect yourself, work on the connection to your, what I would call your higher power. Link to it. That's why we meditate. It's why we pray. It's why we contemplate. It's why we hug trees. It's why we come here, so that you can connect to the source of your joy. Because once you connect, then you're linked, you're linked in. And look up, there's a beautiful Bible verse. I'm going to make it English. I will lift my eyes up to the hills from where my help comes. And whatever that means to you, but I'm going to tell you that when you have the experience of being helped, not by human hands, but by holy hands, it lets you know that that's a very wise thing to do. It lets you know that it's okay to do it. And then leap up is simply, life is a matter of choices. And some choices we make restrict us, keep us small and safe, and some choices we make usher us into that being, that life that we are here to live, which is not a safe one. This little girl on the mat, our whole lives, your whole lives, my whole life, has been about conquering fear and doing a new thing. Whether it was walking, whether it was riding a bike, telling somebody you loved them for the first time, applying for a job you thought was too big, asking for the raise you thought you didn't deserve. If I were to ask you to look back to a time when you were leaping into something new that turned out really well, your whole face would change. You would begin to display excitement. And you would remember the adrenaline of facing your fears. Somebody once said, fear and excitement are the same thing, except with fear you don't breathe. Right? So with excitement you're breathing, you're excited, and with fear you shut down. So conquering our fears leads us into risk is greatness. Mark Twain said, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did do. So throw off the bowline, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the wind in your sails, explore, dream, and discover. So like fear, risk is your friend. There's a woman by the name of Manya Markova who almost died from cancer. In fact, I believe she did actually die on the table and then came back, was revived. And she wrote something that's become very well known in talks like this, in conversations like this. And she said, I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or of catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which comes to me as seed goes on to next as blossom, and that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit. Most people, I shouldn't say anyone or everyone, but most people who have had a serious confrontation with the possible disappearance day, that date that comes after the dash, they do live a little more bravely and a little more what might appear to some as carelessly. But it simply is just expressing who you are without the fear of judgment of others. So one of the things that does happen is you kind of give up caring what other people think. Because really, do you really not want to live your authentic, bodacious, outrageous, resplendent self because your sister won't like it? Right? Or because you think your friends will reject you? No. You do not want, I promise you. The answer to that question is no. So Teal says, we are here in the schoolroom called Earth to grow through regular risking, to learn through regular leaping. Evolutionary leaps got us to where we are as conscious beings. Now it's time to leap into our potential, into why you're here. And by the way, it's never too late. I really don't think I became even remotely conscious of true potential for myself. And I'm not talking about success in the world, because for most of my adult career I was successful, but I wasn't full of joy or anticipation of a glorious, resplendent future. It was more of, how do I get through this without too much embarrassment? Or how do I get through this so I'll have enough money to live out my golden years? So I don't really think that I kind of threw off the covers until really into my 50s. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt when I say my 70s has been my best decade ever. I would not go back for a minute. And not many people can say that, or do say that. But I believe that once you get connected and fearless and risk-taking, you will begin to live in such a way that it taps into who you are as an ageless, deathless, birthless being. There's this other reading that's very meaningful in this moment, and I think this is anonymous. I don't know that they know who wrote this. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk rejection. To place your ideas, your dreams before a crowd is to risk ridicule. Don't try it. I'm oblivious to your ridicule. I ad-libbed that. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To go forward in the face of overwhelming odds is to risk failure. But whoever this is says the risks must be taken because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, and is nothing. She may avoid suffering and sorrow, but she cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, or live changed by any of this. She is a slave. She has forfeited her freedom. Only a person who risks is free. So the point of all of this really is to inspire us, to walk on the mat that's in front of us, to take that step, to notice, how you're supported in this life is through your intuition and your gut. Your desires, your longings. Wayne Dyer wrote a beautiful piece once called, What Do You Really, 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 Really Want? With 4 reallys. And his question had to do with getting past the ego. What do you really want? More money. Okay, that's great. What do you really, really want? Okay, more money and a relationship. Okay, what do you really, really, really want? And to ask the question long enough that you get to the call of your soul, what your soul really wants, so that you can give it permission to want it. And by the way, giving yourself permission to want what your soul wants doesn't mean you have to do anything. It doesn't mean you're going to do it. It doesn't mean you have to do it soon. But you want to give yourself, your capital S self, permission, God bless you, to be who it is and to desire what it desires because it's your destiny. It's like your soul's why you came. Imagine yourself on the other side before your appearance, having a conversation. I want to go back to Earth because I want to learn how to be a more compassionate human being. And I want to take pictures of wild animals. That's God's greatest creation, were those darn elephants. And those desires come with you. So when you come in, and they show up early in life. Little people know, little girls, little boys, they have care. If you are parents, you know this, right? They appear brave, or they appear curious, or they appear loud, or they appear happy. And somewhere along the line, sometimes we can let that fall to the wayside to play it safe, to not step out onto the mat. So one of my favorite things, I don't know, how many of you have ever heard or read Steve Jobs's commencement speech that he made to a university? Have any of you ever? It's really stunning. And I don't want to go into it now. I'm going to cover a little bit more on Sunday Night Alive tonight, just because I think it's so meaningful to this conversation. But he said, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other people's opinions drown out your inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. So I invite you this week, really, if you don't have a meditation practice, meditation is not a really easy practice at first for a lot of people, but sometimes it can be very useful to simply turn off your phone, turn off the TV, put the dogs out in the yard, tell your spouse to leave you alone for 15 minutes, and find a quiet place and just contemplate who you are. Contemplate where you came from. Contemplate the idea that whatever this playground is, we didn't make it. We had nothing to do with it being here. And we don't live here long enough to really have any impact on it, to tell you the truth. I've been deep in the idea this month about how right now there are 8 billion people on this planet. And in about 100 years, we'll all be gone, and there'll be 8 billion more people. And life will go on. So there isn't really anything other to do here, really, than to make this dash that you have the best dash it can possibly be. You do not want to be on your deathbed wishing you had done it different. You do not. Do you? No. So get into the present moment. So that's forgiving the past, letting the past be. Werner Erhard used to say, anything that you can let be will let you be. Anything that you cannot let be will not let you be. So we get into the present moment by letting things be the way that they are. So you're not living, you're not dragging this baggage with you through your life. Stay connected to your higher power. And if you don't have that relationship yet, get it. Cultivate it. Heal, there's something about being in right relationship to things. Like, we're in right relationship to gravity. I promise you, you are in right relationship to gravity. Do you know how I know? You're still here. You haven't tested it. You didn't say, I don't believe in gravity, and walk off the cliff. So these physical laws are real, and we live with them, whether it's gravity or thermodynamics or whatever it is, by being in right relationship with it, meaning we know what it is, we believe it, and we abide by its rules. So it's the same with spiritual laws and principles. The laws of cause and effect, the laws of it is done unto you as you believe, the laws of attraction. So we want to get into right relationship with those spiritual principles. Trust in your invisible support. And you can cultivate trust. You may not have it right now. You may be in a crisis. Sometimes when we're in crises, it's hard to believe. It's like, why would God let this happen? Where is she when I need her? Or whatever. But trust it, cultivate trust, and then simply practice 20 seconds of insane courage. 20 seconds of insane courage to do that which you want to do, which you long to do, and which you might have in the past been afraid to do. You want to get onto the mat. And you may not have a grandma, but you do have a higher power that will put out its hand to you and show you that it will be okay. Okay? Okay. All right, let's do our affirmation. So before I anchor this in prayer, we do this affirmation. I'm going to read it through, and then you read it through with all the enthusiasm you can. You know, affirmations are crucial to changing our minds. Ernest Holmes said, if you want to change your life, you have to change what? Your thinking. And if you don't, changing your thinking is a conscious thing that you do. I can't do it for you. Nobody can. It's something you must do. All right, so here's our affirmation. Fear is a portal through... This is a part where you soak it in. Fear is a portal through which I discover inner strength. Risk is a portal through which I embrace possibility. I welcome every portal of transformation, knowing that Spirit is guiding me into a fuller expression of who I really am. I embrace my future with faith, fearlessness, and 20 seconds of insane courage. Your turn. Courage. And so it is. All right, so let's just take a moment and move into that space in which our minds are changed. Thinking happens at a subconscious level. Change happens at a subconscious level. You can say, I'm going to be fearless with your mouth all you want, but the fearlessness happens in your heart. And so as we turn within, allowing our outer eyes to close. And the closing of this outer eye lets us leave the past circumstances, conditions, people, places, and things right where they are. They've already happened. It's already done. And we move into the gaze that our inner eye provides us with, the gazing into the very depth of our being, the space and place and dimension of us that is whole, that is perfect, and that is complete. This place within us that is the very essence of joy, the very essence of peace, the very essence of absolutely anything that we could possibly want for this life to be joy. And as we move into that space, we soften into a kind of faith that lets us know that it's all right. All is well with our souls. There's nothing asked of us other than to be fearless, and to be authentic, and to be brave, and to be ourselves, our beautiful, perfect, lovable self. And so I know and claim for each one of us that we do that this week to some small or greatness. We walk onto our mat. We walk out of our comfort zones. We walk into a new experience. We open to the desires and longings of our heart. And we just say yes to it without knowing how. How is not up to us. The only thing up to us is the what. We say the what, and the universe gives us the how. And so that's the work this week, is to just tell your beautiful, sacred, holy truth. And then just to sit back and watch as everything unfolds for your greater good. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful that we come together at least once a week to remind each other. I'm grateful that we have this opportunity to come together in community to support each other in stepping into a bigger idea of our lives. And I simply know that this prayer, these words, are fulfilled by the word itself. And so we can leave this time of prayer expecting and accepting the fulfillment of it. And we do this together by saying, and so it is, amen.